Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. In this video, we will learn how to add new controller class in our application. Before adding a new controller, let's see some important points. The controller class in ASP.NET Core Web API must have a controller suffix. For example, if you want to add a controller with name student, then the name of the controller should be student controller. We need to use controller as a suffix with the name of the controller. The controller class must be inherited from the controller base class. If you are using ASP.NET Core MVC background, then the controller class will be inherited from controller class. In ASP.NET Core Web API, we are using controller base class. Let's understand what's the difference between controller and controller base class. The controller class in MVC which support views, view data, temp data, etc. But here in ASP.NET Core Web API, we don't require those concepts. So we use the controller base class. So controller base class is also serves as the base class for the controller class. So if you are using controller class in ASP.NET Core MVC application, that means you are also using controller base class. But in ASP.NET Core Web API, we simply use the controller base class. The controller base class provides many methods and properties to handle HTTP requests and responses. For example, if you want to return 200 status code from your action method, controller base class provides one method. Similarly, if you want to return 201 status code from your controller action method, it will provide with another method. Then once we inherited our controller class from controller base class, then we need to use API controller attribute. Then we need to use attribute routing to access the resource using URI. URI means unique resource identifier. Let's discuss about the use of API controller. API controller provides support for attribute routing. If there is error in client data, example 400 status code, then API controller will handle automatically. API controller will also support multi-part or form data request inference. It bind the incoming data with the parameters using some attributes. Let's add the controller class in our application. So go to Visual Studio. Here, the controller class should be added inside the controllers folder in our project. So let's add controllers folder to the project root directory. So right click here, then click add new folder. Folder name will be controllers. Then right click on controllers folder, then click add, then click class. Your class name will be first controller, then click add. So we have added very simple controller class. Now inherit this class from controller base class. Now let's add the namespace. This controller base class belongs to Microsoft.ASP.NETCore.MVC. Now let's add API controller attribute here. In any controller class, we can have multiple methods. Let's add a simple method in this class. Public string method name get will return some message hello from API. So we have added new controller in this application. We have inherited this class from controller base class. We have added API controller attribute here. Then we have added simple method. As of now, this is the resource. So we have to map the URL to this resource. Let's see how we can do that. Here, let's add one more attribute, route. So we will learn about routing concept in our upcoming videos. Here, this attribute is required, so we are using. So we can simply type test. Now save the changes and run this application. Here we don't have any response. That's why we are having this 404 error. Okay. See here, if I append test in this URL, you can see we are having the output here. Okay, now let's stop the execution. Let's add one more method. So copy this, pasting below that, change the method name get one hello from API 1, save and run this application. See here, what happened if I happen test here. See here, we have this error HTTP error 500. Okay, the actual exception details are not visible here, and the reason is we have not added the developer exception page in this application. So we can do that by adding some middleware. To add a middleware, go to startup class. First stop the execution in startup class. In configure method, if environment is development, let's add the namespace. Is development is belongs to Microsoft.extensions.hosting. Your app dot use developer exception page. Okay, that's it. Now again run this application. Just refresh this page. This time we can see developer exception page. This is the reason of the exception. The request matched multiple endpoints at this place. Application got confused because we are accessing these two methods get and get one by using this URL. As per API standard, each resource should have a unique identifier. Let's do some changes in a route attribute. In fast controller, here we'll add action. Sorry, this will come here. Okay, here we specified action as part of the URL. Save the changes and run this application. Now append test. Now we have to type method name along with this URL. So method name get. So we have the output from get method. If I enter second method name get one, so we have the output from second method. Okay, this is how we can add first controller in ASP.NET Core Web API, and we can add multiple methods. Thank you so much for watching this video.